Carl Sagan wrote in Cosmos, "We are a way for the universe to know itself. Matter became life. Life became mind. Mind transforms into cosmic awareness, consciousness, the universe knowing itself through us." This sentence is Carl Sagan's deepest cosmic insight. Consciousness is not just a biological accident. It's a universal phenomenon, the culmination of 13.8 billion years of cosmic evolution. Matter organized itself, created life, developed mind, and now the universe is aware of itself. But what is consciousness? It remains the greatest scientific mystery. How does neural activity create subjective experience? How does brain tissue produce qualia? How does matter become awareness? The hard problem of consciousness has not yet been solved. Carl Sagan approached this mystery with cosmic perspective. He wrote in Dragons of Eden, "Consciousness is the universe's most extraordinary achievement, matter achieving self-awareness, the cosmos contemplating itself through us. The human brain is a biological marvel. 86 billion neurons, each neuron making an average of 7,000 synapses, 100 trillion connections, 500 trillion chemical reactions every second. The brain weighs 2% of the body but consumes 20% of energy. A biological supercomputer. How does this neural machinery produce consciousness? Traditional science uses a reductive approach. Complex phenomena are explained by simple components. But consciousness resists reduction. This question has puzzled philosophers for millennia. The ancient Greeks made a distinction between soul and body. Plato proposed an immaterial soul controlling the material body. Aristotle viewed the soul as the form versus matter of the body. In the modern period, René Descartes proposed mind-body dualism, res cogitans, thinking substance, and res extensa, extended substance. The immaterial soul interacts with the material brain through the pineal gland. But the interaction mechanism remained mysterious. Cartesian dualism created problems. How does the non-physical mind affect the physical brain? How does the non-spatial soul control the spatial body? This violates the principle of causal closure. It creates energy conservation problems. British empiricists tried a different approach. John Locke's tabula rasa concept. The mind is a blank slate, acquiring knowledge through experience. David Hume's bundle theory. The self is a series of perceptions, not a permanent substance. Immanuel Kant developed transcendental idealism. Phenomena are appearances. Noumena are things in themselves. The mind plays an active role in constructing reality. Categories of understanding structure experience. In the 19th century, materialist philosophers argued consciousness was an emergent property. Ludwig Feuerbach and Karl Marx viewed consciousness as the result of material processes. No spiritual component was necessary. Charles Darwin's theory of evolution provided a perspective on consciousness as a biological function. Consciousness provides survival advantage. Natural selection increases consciousness complexity. William James developed the concept of stream of consciousness. Consciousness is a flowing process, not a static entity. The functionalist approach emphasized the purpose of consciousness. In the 20th century, behaviorism rejected the scientific study of consciousness. B.F. Skinner viewed consciousness as epiphenomenal. Only observable behavior was worthy of scientific study. But behaviorism ultimately failed by denying conscious experience. The subjective reality of consciousness is undeniable. The cognitive revolution returned consciousness to scientific study. Contemporary neuroscience investigates the neural basis of consciousness. BFMRI, EEG, and other techniques correlate brain activity with consciousness. BFMRI, EEG, and other techniques correlate brain activity with consciousness. BFMRI, 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 Neural correlates of consciousness (NCCs) are being identified. Francis Crick and Christoph Koch sought a neural explanation of consciousness. The astonishing hypothesis argues consciousness is nothing more than neural activity, a reductionist approach to explaining consciousness. BFMRI, 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 BFMRI,
DFPM, but reduction remains incomplete. David Chalmers termed this the hard problem of consciousness. Easy problems: information processing, attention, memory, reaction. Hard problem: why is there something it's like to be conscious? Easy problems admit mechanical explanations. Attention as spotlight model, memory as storage retrieval system, information processing as computational model. But subjective experience resists explanation. Qualia are at the core of the hard problem: the redness of a red rose, the sweetness of sugar, the pain of a headache. These experiences have qualitative properties that resist objective description. Frank Jackson designed the Mary's Room thought experiment. Mary is a color vision scientist with complete knowledge of color physics but confined to a black and white room. When Mary leaves the room and sees a red apple for the first time, does she acquire new knowledge? The knowledge argument suggests qualia cannot be reduced to propositional knowledge. Subjective experience is beyond objective description. David Chalmers developed the philosophical zombie argument, a being exactly like a human in physical properties but possessing no consciousness. If zombies are conceivable, consciousness is beyond physical properties. These arguments highlight the hard problem of consciousness. Neural activity is a necessary condition for consciousness, but whether it's a sufficient condition remains unclear. Giulio Tononi developed integrated information theory, IIT. Consciousness is a measure of integrated information, FEJ. A system's capability to generate and integrate information determines its degree of consciousness. IIT attempts a quantitative measure of consciousness. Higher FEJ value means higher consciousness. Humans have high FEJ, simple systems have low FEJ. Consciousness is a gradual property, not binary.
Bernard Baar's proposed global workspace theory. Consciousness is a global broadcasting system. Information is shared among multiple brain areas. Awareness is the result of distributed processing. Consciousness uses a workspace metaphor, like a theater stage. Different brain modules broadcast information to the workspace. Conscious information possesses global access. Predictive processing theory views consciousness as the brain's prediction mechanism. The brain constantly makes predictions about the environment. Consciousness is a prediction error minimization process. Anil Seth developed the controlled hallucination theory. The brain creates a model of reality. Consciousness is a controlled hallucination generated by the brain. We experience the external world through internal models. But none of these theories completely solve the hard problem. Neural correlates of consciousness are being mapped, but subjective experience remains mysterious. Carl Sagan adopted a different approach. He viewed consciousness as a cosmic phenomenon, not just a product of the human brain, universal awareness potential throughout the cosmos. He wrote in Cosmos, "We are star stuff contemplating stars. The universe has evolved awareness of itself. Through us the cosmos ponders cosmic questions." This perspective is profoundly transformative. We're not isolated accidents of consciousness. We're the universe's method of self-understanding. Cosmic evolution has produced cosmic awareness. Consider the extraordinary cosmic journey. 13.8 billion years ago, the Big Bang, a singularity expanding and cooling, temperature of 1032 Kelvin, pure energy with no matter. First, second, fundamental particles forming, quarks, leptons, bosons, the strong nuclear force separating, electromagnetic and weak forces separating. First 3 minutes, nuclear fusion beginning, hydrogen and helium forming, light elements synthesizing. The universe becomes 75% hydrogen, 25% helium. 380,000 years, the recombination era, electrons and protons combining to form neutral atoms. The universe becomes transparent. The cosmic microwave background is released. 100 million years, the first stars igniting. Nuclear fusion creating heavier elements, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, iron forming in stellar cores. Stellar nucleosynthesis as an element factory. Billions of years, stellar evolution and supernovae explosions, heavy elements dispersing into space. Second and third generation stars incorporating heavy elements. 4.6 billion years ago, the solar system forming. Gravitational collapse of a dust and gas cloud, the sun igniting, planets condensing, Earth cooling and oceans forming. 3.8 billion years ago, first life emerging. Simple prokaryotes, chemical evolution transitioning to biological evolution, self-replicating systems appearing. 2 billion years ago, eukaryotic cells evolving, nucleus and organelles developing, cellular complexity increasing, multicellular life emerging. 600 million years ago, the Cambrian explosion, complex organisms rapidly evolving, eyes and nervous systems appearing, sensory awareness beginning. 500 million years ago, vertebrates evolving, fish, amphibians, reptiles, brain complexity increasing, behavioral sophistication growing. 200 million years ago, mammals appearing, warm-blooded, live birth, parental care, brain neocortex developing, intelligence advancing. 65 million years ago,
Dinosaur extinction, mammals diversifying and growing larger, the primate lineage beginning, arboreal lifestyle favoring brain development.
7 million years ago, human lineage separating from chimpanzees. Bipedalism evolving, tool use beginning, brain size slowly increasing. 2 million years ago, Homo erectus appearing, mastering fire control, technology advancing, brain size reaching 900 cc. 300,000 years ago, Homo sapiens evolving, brain at 1400 cc, language fully developing, symbolic behavior, art and culture emerging. 50,000 years ago, the cognitive revolution, abstract thinking, planning and creativity flowering, consciousness reaching unprecedented complexity. 10,000 years ago, the agricultural revolution, permanent settlements and cities, writing systems developing, knowledge accumulation accelerating. 400 years ago, the scientific revolution beginning, telescope and microscope inventions, the scientific method developing, cosmic perspective emerging. 60 years ago, the space age beginning, viewing Earth from space, the pale blue dot perspective, cosmic consciousness awakening. This sequence is not accidental. Each stage increases complexity, advances information processing, and deepens awareness. Cosmic evolution is directing toward consciousness. The anthropic principle suggests the universe is fine-tuned for consciousness emergence. Physical constants are precisely calibrated to allow complex chemistry. The strong nuclear force binds protons and neutrons together. If slightly weaker, only hydrogen would exist. No heavier elements, no complex chemistry, no life. If the strong force were slightly stronger, no hydrogen would remain. All protons would be bound to neutrons, no long-lived stars, no stable energy source. The electromagnetic force governs atomic structure. If different strength, atoms would be unstable, no molecules forming, no chemical reactions, no biochemistry. The weak nuclear force governs radioactive decay. If different, stellar evolution would be altered, element synthesis affected, planetary formation changed. Gravity is the weakest force but determines cosmic structure. If stronger, stars would burn faster with shorter lifetimes. If weaker, stars wouldn't form, no nuclear fusion. The fine structure constant determines electromagnetic interaction strength. If a different value, atoms, molecules, and chemistry would be drastically affected. The cosmological constant determines the space expansion rate. If different, the universe would expand too fast, preventing galaxy formation, or collapse too quickly. These parameters show a narrow range of consciousness-compatible values. The multiverse hypothesis suggests infinite universes, most consciousness-incompatible values. We observe a consciousness-compatible universe because consciousness-incompatible universes possess no observers. The anthropic principle explains this selection effect. But maybe consciousness is not an emergent accident, but an inevitable cosmic development. Maybe the universe is evolving toward awareness. Maybe consciousness is a fundamental feature of reality. Quantum mechanics hints at a mysterious connection between consciousness and physical reality. The observer effect possibly requires a conscious observer for measurement. In the double-slit experiment, electrons create a wave-like pattern until measurement. Measurement collapses the wave function, creating particle-like behavior. Is consciousness essential to the measurement process? John Wheeler's delayed choice experiment shows measurement decisions retroactively affecting electron behavior. Do present consciousness decisions influence past events? This questions linear time assumptions. The quantum Zeno effect shows observation freezing a particle state. Frequent observation prevents radioactive decay. Does consciousness directly affect physical processes? These phenomena suggest consciousness plays a fundamental role in physical reality. Maybe consciousness doesn't emerge from matter, but matter emerges from consciousness. Idealism is an ancient philosophical tradition, considering consciousness as primary reality. George Berkeley viewed the material world as mental constructions. Esse est percepi. To be is to be perceived. Modern physicists are considering idealism. Max Planck viewed consciousness as fundamental, matter as derivative. Eugene Wigner believed consciousness causes wave function collapse. Information theory provides a consciousness perspective on information processing. Claude Shannon measured information entropy. Is information fundamental to physical reality? John Wheeler suggested the it from bit hypothesis. Information is fundamental reality. Physical phenomena are emergent properties of information processing. Digital physics suggest reality is a computational process. The universe is a giant computer running. Is consciousness an information processing algorithm? Integrated information theory possesses panpsychist implications. Even simple systems possess some degree of consciousness. Human consciousness is an example of highly integrated information processing. If panpsychism is true, consciousness doesn't emerge from unconscious matter. Consciousness is always present, becoming more complex and integrated. The universe is conscious from the beginning, with awareness evolving.
Philip Goff and David Chalmers consider panpsychism a serious philosophical option. Consciousness is not a magical property but a natural feature of reality like mass or charge. Panpsychism faces the consciousness combinata